Hi, this is Michelle with Michelle's Macarons, and today we're going to talk about what to do if your macarons are sticking to the bottom of your tray. So if you go to take them off of the mat or parchment or whatever you're using, and part of the bottom is still on the mat, like it's not coming off completely, we're going to go over what could be causing that. So the first most likely culprit here is under baking. So you're not putting them in the oven long enough, usually. If you think you've got the temperature right, but you're not letting them cook long enough, that could be an issue. So only change one of these things at a time that I'm going to list, but try maybe putting it in for 30 more seconds, a minute, just something short at first, and then see if that helps. Another reason could be because your oven temperature is just too low. So you could be baking for like 20 to 25 minutes, but they're still sticking to the tray. You might want to turn your oven temperature up a little bit, or make sure you have an oven thermometer and that it's actually at the temperature you think it's at. So you could have your oven at 300, 400, and you think it's at that temperature and it's not even close. So make sure you have an oven thermometer in there, and then you could try maybe upping the temperature a little bit. But if you do that, I would lower the amount of time they're in the oven. If you're having macarons that are browning on the top, go to this video. But if they're browning at the top, but they're still sticking to the pan and it feels like the bottom is not getting cooked, that could mean that they're too close to the heat source on the top of the oven, if the heat comes from the top of your oven, and you have the tray too close to the heat source. So that would make it so you can't keep them in as long because the tops are getting burnt, but the bottoms aren't cooking. So if you lower them, put them at a lower rack in the oven, then it will allow you to keep them in longer without discoloring your macarons. If you're learning something from this video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it to be notified whenever I come out with a new video. Another reason they could be sticking to the bottom of the pan is because they're overfolded. Okay, if you haven't already, go watch this video to make sure that you're doing the Macaronage correctly and you've got the folding down, because you don't want to overfold it because that could cause them to kind of get too wet and stick to the bottom. If you haven't already, go watch this one where I take you step by step through making macarons, and that will really show you. And then if you need extra help, go watch that one. Okay, now too much food coloring or any liquid in the batter could also be causing this problem, because they could be just kind of wet and sticky and they're not coming off from the mat. So if you're first starting, don't use any food coloring or anything in the batter besides what's in the recipe. Now, this could also contribute to maybe the macarons sticking to the tray, is if you're used to using parchment and then you switch to like silicone mat or slip mat or something, that could contribute to maybe them sticking, and it's not usually the mats. You might just have to adjust your baking time and the temperature in your oven, because they just might need to bake a little bit longer than if you were using the thin parchment. Okay, now, if you haven't already, watch this video. A weak meringue could lead to, that's not one of my first go-tos when someone tells me their macarons are sticking, but that could contribute to it if your meringue is not whipped up enough and it hasn't gotten to stiff peaks. That could contribute to it, but I would try all the other things first before you go to that part. Okay, now the most important one is that you're not letting them cool completely before removing them from the pan. Okay, that is most likely the problem, unless when you break one open, it's like wet in there. If everything else about the macaron is good, but they are just sticking a little bit to the tray, you have to make sure that they're completely cooled before you start taking them off the tray. And not just like cool to the touch, like completely cooled. Like it will probably take an hour at least until they're cooled. What you can do if you want to speed it up a little bit, which I don't recommend because I like to keep them so consistent, like that they are on the same tray. Everything is exactly the same, but if you're in a huge hurry, you could carefully take the mat off of the hot tray after a little bit and put it onto another tray, and then that will cool them down a little faster because you don't have that hot tray under there, but I would not recommend that unless you're like in a pinch. Okay, and if you want to start selling your macarons or other baked goods, join the email list below. I have a course called the Home Bakery Blueprint where you'll work with me to start or grow your home bakery business. If you'd like, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll put those links in the description. Okay, and if you're still having trouble with your macarons, or if you just want to like hang out with other macaron bakers, join the Michelle's Macarons Facebook group, and it's a free group. You just answer the membership questions, and you can post your pictures in there and say what's wrong with them, and then we'll all help you make better macarons. Okay, check out these other macaron videos. Okay, love you, bye. Pinky point? Go watch. Hold on.